8 years of loyalty vanished in minutes when my new manager smirked. "You don't fit the image I want for this team." My world collapsed in an instant. "Hi, I am Sarah. I'm 34 years old. And yes, I'm fat. Not curvy, not plus-size fat." I still remember the moment like it's tattooed on my skin. The conference room door was half open, and I froze when I heard my new manager, Mark Peterson, laughing with another supervisor about me, my name sharp in their mouths like a joke. "We'll handle Sarah in the reorg," Mark said, his voice smug, and then a lower, unfamiliar tone. Later I realized it was a regional director, cut through the laughter. "Keep it contained. Corporate won't want headlines." My stomach dropped, my coat still in my hand, and for a split second I couldn't breathe. 8 years of loyalty, late nights, and clients asking for me by name, all being reduced to some problem they needed to contain. That wasn't the first cut though. Weeks earlier, Mark had called me into his office, polished suit, smug smile, and said, "Sarah, your numbers are great, but your appearance isn't really a fit for client-facing work." I'd blinked, humiliated, and asked, "Are there complaints?" He'd shrugged. "No formal ones. It's just optics. Phones or unpaid leave, your choice." I left stunned, my pride cracked in half, but I didn't cry. I smiled, nodded, and walked out, while inside I burned. That night, sitting alone at my kitchen table, I replayed every second of the conversation, the insult disguised as corporate image, and swore I wouldn't let him bury me so easily. My brother Michael called, and when I told him, he hissed through the phone, "That's discrimination, Sarah. You've given them your life. Don't let this go." I whispered back, "I won't. But I have to be smart." And from that moment, the game shifted. I stopped reacting and started planning, because if they wanted a war of patience and optics, I was ready to fight it on my terms. I walked back into the office the next morning like nothing had happened, head high, voice calm. But inside my chest was a storm waiting for direction, and every smile I gave was armor, not joy, because the truth was, betrayal never comes all at once. It drips, slow, steady, until one day you're drowning. Mark Peterson, the new manager, had only been in charge for 2 months, yet he'd managed to turn the atmosphere toxic with just a few words and carefully placed whispers. He was polished in the way corporate men always are: navy suits, white shirts, hair slicked back like a movie villain trying to look like a hero. At first glance, he was charming. Even my coworker Jenna whispered, "He's sharp, Sarah. Maybe good for the company." I had smiled politely, but I felt the chill beneath the shine from day one. The tension really started after that conversation, when he offered me unpaid leave like it was a gift, and suddenly the dynamics shifted around me. In the break room, whispers floated. Jenna tried to be kind, but even she couldn't hide the curiosity. "Is it true, Sarah? He said something about your look." I forced a laugh, brushing it off. "You know how rumors get, Jenna." But my voice shook because it wasn't a rumor, it was the knife twisting deeper. That afternoon, Mark stopped by my desk, his voice syrupy sweet, but loud enough for others to hear. "Sarah, don't push yourself too hard, all right? We'll find a spot where you fit better." I looked up at him, and though I wanted to spit fire, I simply said, "I've been fitting here for 8 years just fine." His smile tightened, eyes narrowing just slightly, the way predators do when prey shows teeth. The days that followed were filled with small humiliations: my name missing from team emails I'd always been copied on, meetings I wasn't invited to, and then being reminded by HR about new grooming standards that had never been enforced before. I played along, nodding, smiling, but every night I went home and poured my anger into meticulous notes. April 3rd, 10:15 a.m. Mark's comment about me not being copied into the Anderson file meeting. I wrote everything down, not like a victim, but like a detective building a case brick by brick. My brother Michael called one night after I'd vented, and he said, "Sarah, you're letting him corner you. Fight back. File a complaint." I sighed into the phone. "A complaint won't save me, Michael. He'll just spin it, say I'm bitter. I need something bigger. I need leverage." And in my gut, I knew I was right. The turning point came when one of my longest-standing clients, Mr. Reynolds, called me directly. "Sarah, I just need to ask. Is it true they're moving me to another rep? My blood ran cold. What? Who told you that? I asked quickly. He hesitated, then said, a corporate rep mentioned a transition next quarter, but listen, I don't want that. I've worked with you for years. You know my business better than anyone. His words were like oxygen in a suffocating room. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. I'll make sure everything stays smooth on my end, I told him, but inside I was shaking. That wasn't just a comment, it was proof. Mark wasn't just undermining me internally, he was trying to pull clients away. When I got off the call, I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling, whispering to myself, this isn't just bias. This is a coordinated push. And suddenly the little humiliations made sense. Exclude me from meetings, undermine my credibility, plant the idea with clients that I'd be transitioned. They weren't planning to move me, they were planning to erase me. Over lunch the next day, I sat with Jenna and another colleague, Marcus, who said casually, big changes coming in the reorg, Sarah. Better keep your head down. I smiled faintly, stirring my salad, and asked, and you think I'll just roll over? He blinked, surprised, but I didn't give him the satisfaction of explaining. Because here's what they didn't know. Every compliment email a client had ever sent me, I had quietly started forwarding to HR, with timestamps, proof of my ongoing value. Every monthly KPI I sent to the leadership inbox with no fanfare, just the data. And every night, I built my personal journal, client quirks, renewal dates, even the little details like Mr. Reynolds hates early calls, prefers after 10 a.m. None of it stolen, none of it illegal, just the kind of institutional memory they could never replace. One Friday, as I gathered my coat, I walked past the glass conference room and froze again. Mark was inside with his supervisor, both laughing. She's stubborn, Mark sneered, but we'll handle her in the reorg. Then came that other voice, low, controlled, keep it contained, corporate won't want headlines. My blood iced. This wasn't gossip, it was deliberate, sanctioned by someone higher up. I gripped my coat tighter, heart pounding, and forced myself to walk calmly past the door, but inside, something snapped. That night at home, I didn't cry, I didn't even pace. I sat down with a glass of wine, opened my laptop, and whispered, okay, Mark. Game on. From that point forward, my interactions with him shifted. When he made comments about transitioning me, I smiled sweetly. Of course, Mark. I'm just focused on keeping clients happy. When he tried to saddle me with impossible tasks, I executed them flawlessly, even forwarding his instructions to HR under the guise of transparency. And when clients bypassed him to call me directly, I didn't gloat, I just answered, calmly, keeping my role as the silent fixer. Mark thought he was erasing me, but what he didn't realize was that every step he took was sharpening the knife I would eventually use. And yet, even as I played the role of loyal employee, the suspense grew tighter, like a wire pulled to the breaking point, because I knew the showdown wasn't months away, it was coming fast, maybe weeks, maybe days, and I had to be ready when it snapped. The real breaking point came like a whisper turning into a scream, subtle at first, but undeniable once you heard it, and it started with another client call, this time, Mrs. Patel, one of our most valuable accounts, her voice cautious yet steady. Sarah, I need to ask. Why did someone from your team suggest I should prepare for a new face on my account? My chest tightened, but my voice stayed calm. I can't imagine why anyone would say that, Mrs. Patel. You and I have worked together for years. Nothing changes on my end. She sighed, I thought so, but they were insistent. Just promise me you'll stay, Sarah, we trust you. When I hung up, I sat frozen, phone still in my hand, because this was no accident. 2 clients now. 2 warnings. They weren't just moving pieces internally, they were actively trying to sever the ties I'd built over 8 years. That night, I told my brother Michael, and he snapped, Sarah, this is war. They're trying to erase you. I stared at my notes, the meticulous log I'd built, and whispered back, no, Michael. This is a setup. They want me to crack, to react, so they can point and say I'm unprofessional. But I won't give them that satisfaction. The very next week, the tension escalated. Mark called me into a closed-door meeting. He leaned back in his chair, hands folded like he was a benevolent king addressing a subject. Sarah, I know change is hard, but this reorg, it's bigger than you. Don't take it personally. I met his gaze, voice steady but laced with steel. So it's not personal when you tell me my appearance doesn't fit for clients? His smile flickered, then returned, thin and rehearsed. Optics matter. You know that. Look, I'm trying to help you land where you'll be comfortable. My nails dug into my palms under the table. I've been comfortable here for 8 years, Mark. My clients trust me. He smirked. Clients adapt. They don't care about the rep, they care about results. I leaned in, lowering my voice. Then explain why they're calling me directly, bypassing your team, insisting I stay. That wiped the smugness off his face for a split second before he leaned back, shrugging. Temporary. They'll adjust. I walked out of that office with my heart racing, but my head clear. Mark was losing control, which made him dangerous. Later that week, I overheard another hushed conversation near the copy room. 2 colleagues whispering about transition lists and performance justifications. My name was in there, I was sure of it. The walls were closing in, and yet I kept my mask on, smiling, delivering flawless work, documenting every slight. One evening, long after most staff had left, I passed that same conference room again, and there it was, the voice that chilled me before. Mark laughing with the supervisor, then the regional director's voice, low and sharp. Keep it contained. Corporate won't want headlines if she pushes back. My blood turned to ice. This wasn't just about me. This was sanctioned from above. My footsteps were steady as I left the building, but my mind was racing. Headlines. That meant they feared exposure. They feared me, even if they didn't realize it yet. I sat in my car in the dark parking lot, hands gripping the wheel, whispering to myself, you wanted a quiet exit, Sarah, but they just handed you leverage. The suspense had reached its boiling point. The reorg was coming, the trap was set, and I wasn't the prey anymore. I was quietly, carefully becoming the hunter, and the game was about to flip. The morning the reorg was announced, the office buzzed with nervous energy, people whispering, chairs squeaking, papers shuffling, like the air itself knew a storm was about to break. I sat at my desk calm, collected, almost eerily still, because unlike everyone else, I already knew where this was headed. I'd spent weeks preparing, documenting, gathering proof, and building what they never expected me to have, leverage. Mark walked into the meeting room like a showman, his voice loud, cheerful, change is good, team. We're moving into a new chapter. I watched him scan the room, his eyes flicking over me with that smug confidence, as if he'd already written me out of the story. Some roles will be shifting, he continued, all in the spirit of growth. When he finally turned to me and said, Sarah will be moving to a support-only role, where she'll be more comfortable, I felt Jenna's eyes snap to mine in shock, Marcus frowning, whispers rippling through the room. I smiled softly, calm as a blade. When the meeting ended, I didn't argue, didn't make a scene, that's what they wanted. Instead, I stood, walked to HR with a folder in my hand, and said, I think you'll want to see this. Inside that folder was everything, months of client compliments forwarded directly, KPI reports that outperformed everyone else, notes on every renewal, every detail that proved I wasn't just good, I was the backbone of their client relationships. I didn't stop there. Also, I said quietly, sliding over a printed email from Mr. Reynolds and Mrs. Patel, both insisting they preferred me and would reconsider contracts if I was removed. The HR manager's face paled, eyes darting to the door. Sarah, this is serious. I nodded. Yes. And you should also know that I overheard discussions about keeping things contained so corporate wouldn't face headlines. Her pen froze midair. The silence in that room was louder than any shouting match. That same afternoon, before they could spin it, I made my move. I drafted a graceful, professional resignation letter, copied not just HR, but the executive leadership, attaching proof of client loyalty and performance, ending with, after 8 years of loyalty, I cannot continue in an environment where appearance outweighs results. I hit send and leaned back, my pulse steady. The fallout was immediate. Within days, 3 of my largest clients called to say, "Sarah, wherever you go, we'll follow." And they did. When I joined a rival firm 2 weeks later, those accounts transferred with me, seamless as breathing. Back at Brightway, chaos reigned, Mark scrambling to explain lost accounts, supervisors scrambling to justify decisions, HR drowning in questions. Jenna called me one night, her voice hushed. "Sarah, it's a mess here. They don't know how to replace you. Mark's been pulled into endless meetings. Some say he might be let go." I smiled into the phone, not out of cruelty but clarity. "They tried to erase me, Jenna. But in the end, they erased themselves." And as I sat at my new desk at a company that valued me, my phone buzzing with loyal clients who chose me over the empire that discarded me, I realized revenge didn't always have to be loud or violent. Sometimes the quiet unraveling, the kind no one sees coming, is the most devastating blow of all.